Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life.
Namaste. Today's topic is making peace with loss and grief. Now, this is a topic that had been on my Making Peace series for a long time, but I've never actually gotten round to giving this talk before. I'm inspired at this time to make sure I do give this talk because uh, we lost our very best friend a few months back, and two of my cousins lost their husbands. So it's a topical topic, making peace with loss and grief. Life does bring many losses to us. It might be the loss of a job. A lot of people are going through that now. The loss of our health or strength, and allied with that, facing the involutional process of aging. And I remember my dad saying, I can't do any of the things that I love to do. No more yachting, no more gardening. He was pretty philosophical. He'd sit and read, but facing the loss of the activities that was so important to him was big. Loss of our hopes or dreams, which can be tied to losing any of the above things, or a divorce, and then, of course, the big process of grieving the loss of a parent, a child, a spouse, or a dear friend. In addition to losing our very best friend, we've actually lost four close friends in the course of the last year. I guess it's what starts to happen as you get into your 70s. So, how do we approach this? First of all, we've just got to get some basic awareness. We may be feeling intense pain. We may be feeling anxiety. We may just be feeling a sort of uneasy feeling. Stop. When that feeling starts to take over, the first thing to do is just stop. If you're walking, stand still. Just stop. Breathe. I know you've been breathing all along, but let's start to get aware of our breath. Take a few big breaths. Get in touch with our breath. Remember that our breath is always with us, and we can always come back to our breath. And then what I've found is very helpful is a little moment of recognition. After my dad died, I would have this very funny, uneasy feeling that something was missing. And then I just have to say, right, something very important is missing. Your father is missing. He has died. This is why you are feeling this. So just a little recognition of connecting these funny feelings, these uncomfortable, these extremely painful, these excruciating feelings to the loss. Then we have to get grounded because the vata shock of the loss inevitably is going to make us feel very ungrounded. So we do need to get grounded. So here's a little practice for getting grounded. You can do this practice either standing or seated on a chair or stool so that your feet are on the ground. This practice doesn't work so well cross-legged because this practice focuses on your feet. Become aware of your feet. Become aware of your feet standing on the floor, the ground, or the earth, firmly planted, and start to feel roots growing down from your feet, growing down into the grass, the plant level, the spring green, growing down further into the golden earth, growing down further, picturing the color blue, the underground water, the color blue, sinking down, 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 red, the fire at the center of the earth, and then white, crystal, translucent white, the crystalline core. So feel yourself locked into this deep, deep root, letting all that painful, uncomfortable energy sink down into the earth, which can take care of it, and drawing up from the earth the rich colors of the translucent white, the glowing red, the radiant blue, the rich gold, the sparkling green, energizing yourself with all the elements. Whenever you feel ungrounded, take a moment to feel your roots sinking into the earth. If you have an established meditation practice, this is a very important time to keep your meditation practice going. I know it's hard after a big loss, a loss of a home, a divorce, a death, everything's thrown up in the air. We've got to get a little bit of a routine going, and especially try to have a little bit of a meditation routine. Can you at least get 20 minutes? Just a time to sit, quiet your mind, be with yourself. And as we've done these things, as we've learned to stop, to get in touch with our breath, to recognize why we feel so bad, to get grounded, to sit quietly, let's start to open things up and see that loss in a wider context. That context is described in Pali as anitya, anatta, and dukkha. Anitya, impermanence, 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 as the late, great Goenka would say. Anitya, anitya, impermanent, impermanent, impermanent. There's a song by Milarepa which I tuned to, Whaley Whaley. Now all these friends are empty forms, ephemeral like a water moon. To think of them as being real will only make your grief increase. To know that they are empty forms, ephemeral like a water moon, will make illusion like samadhi increase, compassion free from clinging increase. Non-referential view shall increase, and meditation fixation free, and conduct free from doer deed. Oh, this is truly marvelous. The original Whaley Whaley song is also a song of impermanence. The water is wide, I cannot cross o'er, and neither have I wings to fly. Bring me a boat that will carry two, and boat shall row my love and I. And it goes on to say, oh, love is good, love is kind, bright as a jewel when it's new. When it is old, it groweth cold and fades away like morning dew. There's also the beautiful poem Daffodils by Robert Herrick. Let's see if I can do it from memory. Fair daffodils, we weep to see you haste away so soon. As yet the early rising sun has not attained its noon. Stay, stay until the hasting day hath gone but to the even song, and having prayed together, we will go with you as long along. We have as you a short a day, we have as brief a spring, as quick a growth to meet decay as you or anything. We die as your flowers do, and fade away like summer rain, or as the drops of morning dew, ne'er to be seen again. You can see in both of these how it's the ephemeral nature of morning dew that is a paradigm of impermanence. Everything is impermanent. You too are impermanent. You will not have to bear this loss forever, because you will pass from this life and all its losses and on to the next thing. And along with that is anatta, and that also came in the song of Milarepa, that everything is an empty form, like a water moon, like the glow of a rainbow, like the sound of an echo. Everything is empty. It is a radiant appearance. Nothing is solid. Everything is impermanent. All compounded entities must inevitably decay. Everything, yourself included, is empty of any real substance, like the reflection of the moon in a pool. And along with that, dukkha. Remember, the Buddha has taught us that all life is pain. Raghudas, my guru, really used to emphasize that during his final illness. He would sigh a little bit and he would say, as long as you're in the body, you have to bear with the pain. And now I'm about the age that he was when he was going through that last illness, when I was just a young woman, a seeker fresh to India. I also have to tell myself that again and again. As long as you're in the body, you have to bear with the pain, with the diminishments, with the different losses of function, because finger by finger, toe by toe, this body will leave us. And in the meantime, there's many kinds of pain. You can't sit in one position forever. There will be pain and you have to move. You can't enjoy a delicious meal forever, because if you eat too much, you'll get a belly ache. All life is pain, the pain of alteration, the pain of never feeling like we have enough. And yet, as the Buddha said, there is a path that leads us beyond pain, and there is the opportunity for us to reach the place where we are beyond the pain, where the pain no longer bothers us. So, not to become stoical or deny or ignore our feelings, Ramakrishna said that when his very annoying nephew, Hriday, died, at his funeral, he said, I danced and sang because I thought only the pillowcase has gone, but afterwards I wept and wept. And the great Tapasvi Maharaj too wept over the loss of his son, because we are all human and we are supposed to be vulnerable and open and deeply feel our losses and yet hold them in the space of that wider context, anitya, anatta, dukkha, impermanence, empty of real essence, just part of the pain that goes with being alive, just part of the deal. As J. Krishnamurti wrote, out of the fullness of your heart invite sorrow, and the joy thereof shall be in abundance. Sorrow shall open the locked doors of your mind. So allowing that sorrow to flower, to bloom in the context of understanding the big picture. That sorrow leads us to compassion. So the next thing we need to do is have some self-compassion. It's good to practice self-empathy. The way that I learned to do it is in the NVC on nonviolent communications. And I'll put some links in the description on how to find a feelings list for NVC and how to find a needs wheel. The basic idea is that every feeling that we have is connected to a need. We have happy and positive feelings when our needs are met, and more difficult feelings reflecting unmet needs. So if you have suffered a loss and you're feeling these uncomfortable feelings, it can be very good to look at those lists, see what universal needs are there. They're not something like I need a smoke, or not even I need chocolate, sorry. In the Bay Area MPC, they have a joke that chocolate is in fact a need, and I'm on board with that. But these are universal needs, things that everyone needs. They're not strategies like I need to go to bed or I need to get a ride, but universal needs. So every feeling is tied to a universal need. So it could be something like, I feel deeply sorrowful, needing companionship because we lost our loved one. Or I feel deeply unmoored, needing a home because we lost our home. A home isn't really a need, but I just messed up. I feel deeply sorrowful, needing uh, a, a, some comfort, some respite, some security. You can look through these needs lists, you can see these wheels. But making an empathy phrase for yourself, I find it's really helpful. And then the next step can be to practice a little loving kindness. Practice some loving kindness towards yourself. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I have ease of well-being. I always find that's tremendously helpful. You can do those phrases on your breath. One breath, may I be safe. Next one, may I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I have ease of well-being. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I have ease of well-being. Can just offer yourself these good things. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I have ease of well-being. Just giving to yourself. You can also, that's really loving kindness towards yourself, but you could also do compassion phrases towards yourself. May I be free of this pain and suffering, and just breathing with that pain. May I be free of this pain and suffering. May I be free of pain and suffering. May I be free of pain and suffering. So just a few practices within self-compassion. Practicing an empathy phrase towards yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect. You saw I already messed up with one because I didn't have my needs list in front of me. And I've been doing NVC for years and just been devoted to it. But tying the feeling that you have to a need. What did your home that you lost mean to you? Was it safety? Was it comfort? Was it grounding? Was it respite? That's several of these things. What did the one you love, what needs did they meet? Did they meet your needs for sexual contact, for closeness, for intimacy, for warmth, for comfort? Those are the needs that you might be finding unmet right now. So having doing a self-empathy phrase can be really important. Having that loving kindness towards yourself. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I have ease of well-being. Having some compassion for yourself. May I be free of pain and suffering. And now let's start to transform grief. Let's transform grief through creativity. In today's world, we have a unique opportunity to blog our grief process, if that's something you're drawn to do, to share our grief process in that way with others unseen in the world of cyberspace. There was a woman who lost her home in one of the terrible fires we've had in recent years in Colorado, and she made a blog, and she blogged all about losing her home. And in her blog, she let people know, what are the things you can say to me that are really helpful? What are the things you can say to me that are really unhelpful? Like, let me know if there's anything I can do. You never will. If someone says, just tell me if there's anything I can do, you'll never reach out to them. It's too vague. If they say, uh, may I bring you some supper tomorrow? That could be helpful, right? Because they've told you a specific thing. And if you say, no, actually, I already have some soup. Could you bring me lunch for the day after? There's something to talk about there. Also, sometimes people try to tell you, don't worry, you'll get another home, or are you going to rebuild when you have no idea yet? So on this blog, she listed all of these ideas like, don't say these things to me, they just make it worse. Here are the ways you can be helpful. Here's what it's like when you lose your home. It's months since I lost my home, and still all this is going on. So that's one way you can transform and help others through creativity. You could write poetry. Remember, you're not going for the Nobel Literature Prize. It doesn't have to be world's best poetry. A poem is a poem, nor does it have to rhyme. That's how poetry used to be, used to have a meter and a rhyme. And it doesn't have to be like that anymore. And it doesn't have to sound like something you get in a greeting card. Write from your heart. You can inspire yourself to write poetry by reading some poetry and write from the heart about your feelings. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be a prize-winning poem. It's your expression. It's something born of your genuine feeling. See if you can write something that feels authentic to you. Maybe you don't like to write. Maybe you want to draw. I have a number of journals in which I have drawn things, and I'm not Leonardo. It doesn't matter. It's not important. You can use colored pencils, you can use charcoal, you can use a journal, you can use a sketchbook, I like oil pastels. My mom used to like oil pastels. My dad liked even just pencil. He was a real artist. His stuff was amazing. My stuff's not amazing. That doesn't matter. We can draw things or paint things that express our feelings. Journaling, that's been super important to me down the years. I'm an avid journaler. I have an entire shelf of beautiful journals that I have written basically for every day of my life since at least since I came to the United States. So we can journal. We can write about our feelings. And there's a wonderful book, Journal to the Self, that offers us prompts and suggestions for how to journal. Some people like to do morning pages. Just sit down in the morning and write anything. Just keep your pen moving. So there are different ways that we can allow our grief to transform through creativity. I had quite a bit of grief and loss and being disconcerted, honestly, about Brexit. Um, Even though I don't live in the UK, I did lose my ability to go and retire, if I ever retire, in any of 27 countries that I would have had a right to live in. So I went out and bought uh, yellow and blue plants and made an EU planter of blue and gold. Uh, Gardening is another expression of creativity. And then we want to broaden it out. You have had a huge loss. Well, I've been going to hand therapy, honestly, since like October last year. And every time I go to hand therapy, I go in there feeling frustrated about the fact that my wrist still doesn't work properly and I still can't do the things I could do before. And I go in and someone's coming in a wheelchair. Someone's coming in, looks like they're met with an IED or something. I mean, people are coming in with conditions so much worse. People are coming in looking like they'll never have anything like a functional hand. Even the whole rest of their body is no longer functional. And you look at that and you think, I may have had months of struggle, but my suffering is nothing compared to this. There's however much we are suffering, however much have lost, there's always someone who has lost much more. That is not to make us minimize our experience, because the minimizing takes away from the compassion. We have to feel, remember, sorrow shall open the locked doors of your mind. We have to open ourselves to the sorrow, not minimize it, but realize we are not alone in the loss of that dream. in the loss of that capacity, in the loss of that place, in the loss of that person. We are not alone. There is so much suffering. We live in a world full of suffering, and the grief and the loss that we are experiencing is an open door. So as we feel ready, we can walk through that open door to compassion for others, little by little, step by step. We can allow ourselves to walk through that door into a tremendous open space. I really went through this when I left the Abbey. In leaving the Abbey, I lost a dream I had cherished since I was quite young. I think I had cherished this dream since I saw one of the poor Clare sisters in Melton Mowbray in her habit, and I had thought, I'm going to be like that one day. So I had cherished that dream for a long time of being a nun and living in an abbey and wearing a habit and praying and having that radiant, peaceful look that you see on the face of nuns. And when I finally tried my vocation and it didn't work out and I realized I had to leave, it was a huge loss of a dream, a huge loss of a sense of any purpose or direction in my life. And in working through that loss, I realized that it made an incredible opening, that I could walk through that pain, that loss, and I could walk into a world of compassion much vaster and greater than I had known before. And what's so wonderful is there is even methods and techniques for doing this. In fact, there's the Tonglen practice for transforming our own pain. And I'll in the description, I'll also put a link to a YouTube video where I do a guided Tonglen meditation. But Sadhunanda and I learned it several times on our journey in India. And one important time we learned it was actually at Broadening, at the great stupa in Kathmandu, and attached to Broadening is what's known as Big Monastery. And we got to meet with the abbot of Big Monastery, would you believe it? The the lucky things that befall one during life. And he sat down with us, and Sadhanand talked about some painful experiences he'd had and how should he deal with it. And the abbot at Big Monastery said, picture your pain as a lump of coal in your heart. It's a lump of coal because you've solidified it. Because I've solidified my pain because I believe that I am truly existent. Even though I'm just ephemeral like a water moon, I believe that I'm truly existent and that my pain is somehow extremely excruciatingly important and it makes me real, so it's solidified into a lump of coal. And then he said, breathe. Breathe into that lump of coal and breathe the pain of suffering beings. Breathe in the pain, the sorrow, the suffering of the world, and breathe out bliss. Breathing in hot, dark, heavy. Breathing out light, white, pure, clear. Breathing in pain, breathing out bliss, breathing in with a heart full of compassion, breathing in the pain of suffering beings, voluntarily taking in that pain, breathing out bliss. And you know what it does? It disintegrates that lump of coal. It completely disintegrates that lump of coal because now it's no longer my pain, my grief, mine, like Gollum, right? Mine, my precious, my pain. No, it's not mine anymore. I have surrendered it to the suffering of all beings. My pain, my loss, my suffering, dissolving in a vast ocean of the suffering of all beings and being transformed into bliss through this Tonglen, this sending and taking practice, breathing in pain, breathing out bliss as we become one with all suffering beings, no longer alone with my loss, with my grief, with my pain. We are now one with all who suffer. So broadening it out. Your grief is the open door to compassion for others. Only one who has been through it can really be with those who have had that loss. You are becoming one who is fit, who is able to serve others. As we move on in our Western society, we do tend to, we're so individualistic, especially here in the United States. We tend to want to make our grief a solitary process, but grief is not a solitary process. Seek solidarity in your grief. Are there others who grieve the same person? This is something I found very difficult, losing my parents, living in a country where hardly anyone had ever even met my parents. Thank God said it and knew my and loved my parents. But when there are others who grieve the same person, get together to share memories, to look at photos. See if you can engage in a shared grief process. Are there others who've suffered similar losses? There's all kinds of grief support groups. It can be a great place to go to share your process with others. Hospice, churches, hospitals, all offer grief support groups when you have lost a loved one. There are also divorce support groups. There are aging support groups. There are home loss support groups. There are many kinds of support groups. This could be very helpful for you. Confession. I really didn't do this myself. I didn't go to any support groups, being shy. I found that a difficult thing to do, but many people do find it really, really helpful. Support, get some support, especially if you're a more outgoing person. Ritual. Our grief, our loss needs to be ritualized. This is why we have memorials and celebrations of life. They are tremendously helpful to ritualize that loss. In the Buddhist community, we do a process known as Sukhavati, and it really refers to the Western Pure Land that a kind of heaven place that we are visualizing our loved one going to. But we actually do, at least in the Shambhala community, we do a wonderful process, which is a mock cremation. Uh, using a photo. This is something we've really embraced here at Alandi, and it's helped a lot of people, especially there can be these really difficult situations where your family cut you out of the funeral, or in my case, I wasn't able to make it over for my mum's funeral. So we just gathered people together here and had a memorial. But many times we've gathered people together to do a Sukhavati, and so you have a photo of that person, and you attach that photo to a stick, and you put it in a bowl of sand or earth, and you light the photo while reciting special prayers, Sukhavati prayers, while reciting prayers and mantras, sending the person on to that Western Pure Land of happiness. So that's kind of like a mock cremation or a ritualized cremation that can be really, really helpful. Like I said, we've helped a lot of people who felt in some way cut out or separated from a process of being able to celebrate or memorialize their loved one. We've done a ceremony like that at Alandi Ashram. Ash scatterings can be, or ash interring, can be another very special way to remember and honor someone. That's definitely something we've participated in several times, including with our best friend, Jane. When it comes to other types of losses, let's think about divorce. It's something that really needs to be ritualized. You got married. That was a big deal, a big ritual, a big ceremony. If both people are willing to do so, we can do a divorce ceremony. I usually ask if we conduct the wedding for someone that they will reach out to us if it doesn't work out. And we do a divorce ceremony. Can even do it. We did one on Zoom. Um, don't have to be in person. Everyone's prepared with the 4 questions, and each person says, "I'm sorry for," and goes through the things they're sorry for. I'm sorry I didn't spend more time with you. I'm sorry I wasn't able to meet your need to be heard. People go through the things they're sorry for. I'm grateful for, recognizing the things about that person, the things that person offered you that you're grateful for. I will always remember, calling forth cherished memories of the happiness that was there. I will always remember the birth of our child, or I'll always remember that holiday we had, or whatever it is. And finally, I promise. Could be something as simple as I promise to raise our child together in a good way. What are the promises that we're able to make? So being able to do something like that, uh, if both people are willing, it is a fantastic way to ritualize an ending just as you ritualized a beginning. First with a proposal, then with an engagement party, then with a wedding, probably, and then with anniversaries. Now ritualize the ending. If both people are not willing, if you're in an impossible situation with your ex and they're suing you to get custody, but it's really just about money, then you got to get together with a friend or friends and do a ritual of ending that. It can involve something like burning a wedding photo to really let yourself know that's over and we are going to move on. We can also do altar therapy. I discuss that quite a bit in my Ayurveda uh, and trauma self-paced class, which could be very helpful to you. But building altars, building grief altars, building a place where we can go and grieve, that can be really helpful. And planting seeds for the future. That can be planting a tree. That can be planting a rose bush. When our friend Chandra died, all his friends came over to Anandi Ashram, and his ashes were scattered at one specific spot here, and a special sculpture was placed there, and they brought rose bushes and planted the roses to make him a little rose garden. So planting trees, planting rose bushes, planting seeds, that can be wonderful ways also to ritualize and honor a loss. So we have looked at, first of all, just getting some basic awareness. Stop, breathe, recognize, get grounded, make a little space and see this loss in the wider context of anitya, anatta, dukkha, having self-compassion, self-empathy, loving kindness, compassion for yourself, transforming your grief through whatever form of creativity is accessible for you. I didn't even mention writing a song, music. There's so many forms of creativity with which people express their grief. I guess if nobody ever lost anything, the blues wouldn't even exist, right? Broadening it out, your grief, an open door to compassion for others, seeking solidarity in your grief, creating ritual and ceremony to mark the occasion and help you move on. And let us remember, especially when it is a person that we grieve, let us remember that death is nothing at all, that that person continues to exist. Death is nothing at all. There's a blog that I wrote um, after my mother died. We always wonder where the dead go. Um, when we were kids, we used to go to Sutton Hoo, where an Anglo-Saxon king was buried in his ship. Perhaps he was going to sail to the next world, and he was accompanied by all kinds of treasure. Some believe consciousness ends with death. Many of us feel that our loved ones are still available to us, even after their physical death, and they can reach out to us and let us know they are still here and they do still care. So there was an experience I had quite shortly after my mother died. I was folding laundry, listening to a radio show talking about coming to terms with death of loved ones. That's pretty interesting. And suddenly it said, we're going to conclude with a poem written by Henry Scott Holland, canon of St. Paul's Cathedral in London. My mum was a London child. St. Paul's was the center of her world. My mum was a devout Anglican. My mum told me how each morning after a night of bombing, she and her parents would go to look and see if St. Paul's was still standing. And as long as it was, everything was all right. So I just randomly turned the radio on. And there's going to be a message from St. Paul's Cathedral about death. It's a message from my mum. And here it is. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always
Thank
laughed
you
at
for
the little
tuning into
jokes
Ayurveda and
we always
Spirituality with
enjoyed together.
Alakananda Ma.
Play,
We hope today's
smile, think of
exploration
me,
has
pray
ignited a
for
spark
me.
of curiosity and
Let
insight
my
within you.
name be ever the
If you enjoyed this
household
episode,
word
be
that
sure
it
to leave us a
always
5-star
was.
review and
Let
share it
it
with a
be
friend.
spoken without
For more
effort,
enlightening
without the
discussions and
ghost of a
practical
shadow
wisdom
in
on
it.
Ayurveda and spirituality,
Life
subscribe
means
and join our
all that
Facebook
it
group,
ever
Alandi
meant.
Ayurveda.
It is the same
To
as
allow
it
us to
ever
continue
was.
sharing valuable content,
There is
consider donating to
absolute,
Alandi Ashram. The
unbroken
links will be in the show notes.
continuity. What
Until next
is
time,
death
may you walk the
but a
path of Ayurveda
negligible
with grace
accident?
and embrace the
Why
light of
should I be
spiritual
out of
wisdom
mind
in your
because I
journey.
am out of sight? I am waiting for you an interval somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Nothing is past. Nothing is lost. One brief moment, and all will be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. Namaste.